Uh, give me one moment here. Let's see. I think I gave her the link. Um, one of these points, when I get this link here, one of these points is to remove US troops from Europe.
Hmm.
And that's one of the points. And that is to have US troops be removed from Europe and everything. Where is it?
Hey, though, doesn't it?
What?
Oh, I said it brings up an interesting debate.
Well, no, basically, one of the wordings. Come on, where is it? Uh, boy, oh boy, where am I finding it? Let's see. Let me see if I can just do a Google search on the text that I copied. But okay, yeah, I found it. But I want to read from two different sources just to see if they counter each other. Okay, so I'll read from the Kyiv Independent. And before I start with this, I don't remember which one, but between the Kyiv Post and the Kyiv Independent, one of these, I don't remember which, one of them is controlled by Soros. I don't remember which one,
But
but
it's controlled by who? Say that again.
George Soros.
Okay,
And
George Soros. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought I heard.
well, Soros got involved with it
Right.
and was giving them money, and that's what ended up happening. But what happens is, regardless, is there was some news editors that left because they didn't want to be a part of that. And I believe those people are now the Kyiv Independent. But I can't remember if there was a switch or not, because I remember reading there was a switch. So from my view, I don't trust either source in that. And I know some friends in the US that are like, oh, Kyiv Post, yes, Kyiv Independent, yes. And I don't trust either source. I think it's a mouthpiece for the
Oh,
government.
yeah, they're still good sources to compare with other information, but they're definitely a mouthpiece. I've noticed that. Definitely a mouthpiece.
But regardless, is okay. If you want to read over this, I'll send this to you in Telegram here 1 second. Kind of follow with me a little bit.
Yeah, let me get my phone.
For sure. Okay, so this detailed plan, which I understand the thinking, I understand the logic. It's not meant for the rest of the world. It's meant more for the thinking inside of Ukraine. It's a show. It's very much a show. And that's what it's meant for. And that. So like it says, President of Ukraine, Zelensky presented a much debated victory plan at Parliament on on the 16th, which he made certain parts public. Uh, Ukraine's invitation to join NATO was placed at the top of the list. Kyiv submitted its application in September of 2022, but yet has to have a clear signal from allies. Now, there are some articles, I'll add into my opinion with this. There are some articles that I read years ago that Ukraine was getting promised membership in the NATO going back as far as like 2000 or 2004 with the Orange Revolution. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, they say that it's new that they may get in now. I remember reading articles going back to 2004 or it was 2006, one of the two. Bush was in at the time. Um, that's one side of it. So then it goes, we understand that NATO membership is a matter for the future, not the present, political speak, but added that an invitation offered right away would show Russian Russia and Putin, the error of his geopolitical calculations. To me, that sounds like a bluff in that, because it's basically like acting like a puffer fish. Uh, we are a democratic nation that has proven this and that. Um, you know, I know what they mean to say, and I know what it is in reality. You, you know, the US does this and every other country does this. They misuse the word democratic nation in that. What they really mean is representative government. That's what they mean. But that goes into being a republic and blah, blah, blah. You know, the biggest thing is in the Ukrainian elections. I already asked this because I shared my voter ballot to Ukrainians, and I asked them, when Zelensky ran or when Poroshenko ran or before, what is the ballot like? And it's only like three choices. There's only three options in that, like who you vote for president or who you vote for political party in that. So Ukraine follows a model that is not from the USA, but from Europe, where they
Right.
vote the majority of the party in. That's one side of it. Um, let's see, the second stresses the need to bring war to Russian territory, such as during the cross-border Kursk incursion launched in the middle of August. The creation is possible to have a buffer zone. Well, brand new idea. Wow, brand new idea. Heard this from Hitler, heard it from Stalin, heard it from Putin. Doesn't matter the person. Funny. Funny how everyone copies each other. This item, lifting restrictions on the long range strikes in Russia. Uh, that won't go over well, I think. Um, if it was allowed. Let's see. Additional support for ground forces, air defenses, etc. Um, here's the more interesting one. It says the third point refers to non-nuclear deterrence, one part of which remains classified. I wonder which part. Ukraine is proposing a comprehensive non-nuclear strategic deterrence package on
Here,
its territory.
pause real quick.
What?
I heard from a Telegram source that Zelensky made a comment that they'll be getting a nuclear weapon soon.
Oh, I'm sure it will be that or a
But you
small.
had just read they're seeking non-nuclear, right?
Well, no. I'm sure, or maybe it's just right below nuclear.
Right. Yeah. No, I've
And
been
that,
doing a lot of research. I know that there's been talks of a dirty bomb going off in eastern Ukraine for a long time now, where both
well,
sides have been accused of possibly using a dirty bomb, whether it's Russia, Ukraine. I've heard those sources too. So this is very interesting that we're bringing this up. So yeah, it's just,
okay. So, but all in point, it ends up in an escalation, a further escalation. Proposing non-comprehensive or comprehensive non-nuclear strategy on its territory, safeguard against future aggression. That will be like, I don't know if you remember, but what was it? India got the nuclear bomb and then Pakistan did it? Or it was Pakistan first and then India got the nuclear bomb. That will be just like that. The point has been detailed to the US, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. I know a girl that's a lawyer, and me and her talk a lot on the political, cultural stuff, and she thinks more broadly. And you know, I said this to her before. I said it to quite a few Ukrainians before. Um, I always said, like, they keep saying that everything from the US, from the European Union is for free. Ukrainians have this mentality. Most Ukrainians have this mentality, at least when I talk to them, that all of this stuff, all the weapons, all the money does not need to be paid back, does not need to be recompensated in some form, whatever form that is. Me and you know that's a different story. A, look at Iraq. B, look at Afghanistan. Look at, well, let's say Libya. Let's say Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, Yugoslavia, etc. All of the 90s stuff, issue, you know what I mean. But this is the thing, is the fourth part addresses Ukraine's use of its natural resources as a Ukrainian, or such as uranium, titanium, and lithium, which present economic growth potential for Kyiv and the European Union. Ukraine is offering a special agreement, well, always so special, on joint investment and use of these resources with the EU and US. The part further calls for ramping up of international sanctions against Russia to undermine its ability to sustain. I find that very interesting, that part right there, because I've been saying this, even before the war, I was saying it during COVID and before all of this debt, because in short, in total, before the war, Ukraine owed about $100 billion. Then it's already tacked on about 200 billion. So roughly they owe 300 billion. And Ukraine has this default clause. They don't need to pay back any debt until the war ends. And that, as to what I read, I might have some of it misworded.
Right.
But what happens is the key part that is very, well, I mean, Ukrainians don't think of it, but I read it. Whenever they start paying back the debt, at least 30% or 50% of Ukraine's GDP will go to servicing not new debt, but the old debt that it had before the war, during coronavirus, and even before that. Okay, so you can imagine 30 or 50% of the country's money, or whatever it produces, will disappear off into some black hole because it's owed money over X amount of years and whatever interest and whatever is there. So the Ukraine's budget will be cut in half. And of course, you know, they'll never admit that on public, but you know, that will either A, crash the hryvnia, and that, which I've been telling this to Ukrainians. I go, like, you know, when I first entered the country, the hryvnia was $1 to 24, 25. On a bad day, it was 26. When COVID was hitting, let me switch my stuff over 1 second. I'll keep talking. So when COVID was going on, and that, Ukraine, go on. It's sausage cooking day with Ricky. Oh. That. Anyways, my bad. Let's keep it quiet for a little bit. Regardless, during COVID, they were talking about how Ukraine couldn't pay its bills and it still needed an IMF thing. And this was all before the war. And I mean, this was not in the main news in Ukraine. It was often like little side news about the country's stuff. But regardless, is when I entered the country, is at 25 hryvnia. Over time, from 2018 to now, which is only 6 or 7 years, you could say almost 8, I've seen the currency go from 24 to 26, then let's say 25 to 28, depending if it's a good or a bad day, then 28 to 30, then it would stay right there. So this was somewhere around COVID time. And then when everything really hit the fan, you had $1 to like 40 or 39 or 38. And this was before the aid packages with Biden and everything else. The basically the country was either hemorrhaging cash, and this was like the first month or two of the war. They wanted more US dollars than euros. And so the euro was going down in value and the dollar was going up in that. It's like an artificial reality inside of Ukraine. That was the key part. But they wanted physical US dollars, because then if you had physical US dollars, you would get, let's say, close to $1 to 45 hryvnia. You would get basically like a steal, and that everything would, like the cost of everything, if you exchanged it all out like $100, it would be like getting like 40% free money of their currency in
Wow.
that. And so you would get extra money in that sense. Now, when the aid packages came in, then everything leveled, everything stabilized. But it was like $1 to 34 to 36. Now it's like $1 to 42, etc. But my opinion in this is if Ukraine can't pay its debt, if it can't pay its obligations, whatever obligations those are, the fund banks in New York and London and all of those financial people, they will crash the hryvnia, going from $1 to 100 hryvnia, $1 to 200 hryvnia, maybe $1 to 500 hryvnia. Now, for it to make more sense on whatever the number is this, is so let's say you buy a milk, which is it's like 1 liter. And so there's 4 gallons, or yeah, no, there's 4 liters in 1 gallon, and that just under 4 liters. So you would need 4 of these to equal 1 gallon of milk in the US. Now, to understand, you can buy one of these little Milko things, 2.5%, whatever. You can buy them for like 80 cents. And that it's 80 cents to buy one of these. Now, so if you buy 4 of them, you're spending more in money to buy 1 gallon. So milk is still cheaper in the US in a way. But if you only drink 1 liter for a day or whatever, it's still, in a way, it's cheaper. You're just drinking less. That's one way to put it. Like a candy bar, like Snickers or something like that. Snickers, there's no Butterfinger, but Snickers or Mars or something like that is always like 70 or 80 cents. So you have everything at $1 to 140. So this is like 30 hryvnia. Snickers would be like 25, 30 hryvnia in that. 1 second again.
I got a question.
Sure.
Do they buy bulk at all? Do they sell any like wholesale in Ukraine for? Because I'm sure there had to be people who cook or bake, and they would have to use a lot more milk in that regards. So they have do they have wholesale, or where people can buy more if they use more?
I think it depends on the family. In most of the time when I see things, no.
Okay.
But what I do think goes on, and I probably live in a little bit of an artificial bubble because I have more money. So most Ukrainians are one generation away from the farm, in that their parents still live on the farm or their grandparents still live on the farm. That's how it is. So something like this, most Ukrainians, I don't think buy. They would just go to their family or their relative, and they would go to the farm or wherever their parents or family's farm is at, and they would get that for free from them,
Right.
or they would just exchange some money back and forth. So that's one thing. Okay. Other things, how I shop is the US American way. Not every Ukrainian is doing that. Maybe like half of them are, maybe 30%, maybe 40%. Most of the Ukrainians would prefer to go to an open air market where all the farmers that come from the villages will bring all of their food. In that they prefer to give those people money. As to where I go to an ATB, which is like a Kroger's or a Myers or a Walmart, it's not as big as Kroger's. It's got enough. It's big enough. But basically, I go there and I spend my money there. Most Ukrainians do not do that. They will always go to a market where there's an old woman or an old grandmother because she has a very bad pension, and they want to give those people money. And that's how the system works for most of Ukraine. They don't waste money on all this manufactured stuff. They actually don't like the manufactured stuff. And they think their way of living is the same way in the USA, that there must be a lot of old mom and pop shops where old people have a shop and you go buy from the shop and everything else. They don't understand that basically, like, when Walmart comes into an area, it kind of displaces and kills out a lot of lower, simpler jobs. And it basically sucks everyone into that version of work.
Right.
That can be a good thing. But at the same time, like I've shown what Kroger's looks like or Walmart looks like, and most Ukrainians I know would say they would never go there. They would never spend money there. That's not their style. And that they want to go where basically, people are not having a high enough income and they would shop there. And that's basically where they would go in that sense. So they have that sense of community like that. In a way that's very self-sustaining. That another part of this is most Ukrainians will pay in cash as opposed to paying by card or by this, because in Ukraine the bank will take a commission about like 1 to 5%, and that they'll take a commission off of every transaction on both sides. And that, so the bank is earning like $1 to $3 on every transaction. And again, they think that's the same in the US. And in reality, a business pays that transaction, and some businesses pass that to the customer, some businesses don't. But that's the whole point in this is there will be either a further economic collapse inside of Ukraine if the hryvnia pushes up higher. That's what I think. And that.
No, yeah, yes.
And basically the money, it will be like a Weimar Republic thing. Well, you could argue it already is, but well, no, but like if you really think of it, I mean, just literally think of it. you have $1 to 40 or 42 that equals their currency. Okay. Now that's today. But back in like 2000, 2004, 2008, or 1995, it was $1 to 8 in that. So over a period of 30 years, they have basically devalued their currency by, let's say, about 70 or 80 or 90% in a way.
Hmm.
Because
Sounds familiar.
but it was $1 to like 5, then it was $1 to 8, then it was $1 to 12. I think when 2014, around 2014 or 2010, it went to $1 to 12, and then 12 became 20, 20 became 24, 24 then, which I remember this, 24 became up to 30, then 30 became up to 40, which is now. And that's the case of it all. That's all of the case of it. And that, because they have to write off the money somehow. They have to make the money disappear, or someone has to pay it in some form, and they're just passing it off to all of their citizens and making their citizens more poor. That's the real reality.
Well, it's goes with the mindset. The rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer. That's kind of like what's happening in the U.S. They're trying to destroy the middle class in the U.S., or that's what it seems like to me. They're trying to destroy the middle class. The way you're
Yeah,
explaining it, it's almost the same thing happening in Ukraine. It sounds sad.
yeah.
The
Well,
citizens are taking the brunt of it. I mean, the generation. Think about the generation after. Just here in the U.S. I'm listening to you, and it's almost like you're explaining the U.S. too. You're talking about Ukraine, but I'm finding similarities in what you're saying to what's happening right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now another part of this too is to keep it in mind. Um, okay, so if my grandma had not gotten married, if she had only Social Security as her thing, because she never worked a high wage job.
Right.
My grandma would get, without being married, but she did get married, so it's different. She would get maybe about $600 or $700 a month, roughly, somewhere in there, and that's what she would get. Um, I'll go into the real crime in my mind a little bit in a second, but in Ukraine, a normal, average, just simple pension, which is like Social Security, is the equivalent of about $50 or $60 a month in that. So when all of these Ukrainians are working and retiring, they will get somewhere $50 to $60 a month. Now, I think it's different depending on certain people. Um, I do know an owner of mine that is getting paid like $130 a month, but I don't know what he had as a job before
Right.
that. But that's higher than the average in that's the bigger thing about it. So that's why a lot of the time all of these older women, when they get older, or older men or whatever, they either A, become alcoholics, or B, the women start selling vegetables and stuff and trying to sell flowers or this or that to compensate for the money. And this happens a lot in Lviv. There will always be some old women with flowers that will sell them for, $5, $10, and that, because they'll see a young couple walking around and say, "Don't you want to buy the girl a flower?" And they're very polite about it. They're very nice about it. It's
Right.
not a hustle type of thing. And that they're just like, like make the moment special, blah, 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 like that. And it's just one of them things, just in general. And going back to, like, say, my grandma's pension or retirement, her Social Security, because she's married, because of everything else, she gets over a little over 2 grand a month, which nowadays is almost nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Um,
Crumbs.
yeah, but now, but the thing that really hacks me off a little bit, and it's cutting off my own tongue or biting or cutting off my own feet in a way. But I'll be honest about it. So with me having a handicap, with me having cerebral palsy,
Mhm.
which on paper to the government, I don't have any work history on paper. I have my own IT work, which I earn a little bit of money from that and everything, all that. Keep in mind, I earn a disability check from my disability that is basically, well, this year it was 965 or 963, and they will increase it by $24 to like 987, 988, something like
Right.
that. But I did not work at all. Okay. I can get $900 a month from the fact that I'm a, let's say, pretend protected class, a minority, whatever you want to call it, but I have no work history. And my grandma worked since she was like 13, all the way to about 63, 65, somewhere in there. And she gets, if she was not married, only like $600 or $700. And that really encompasses the unfairness of it all. That really encompasses the unfairness. And adding with my IT work, I get, let's say about $300 to $400 more than that. Sometimes about $600 more. Depends on the month. Depends on how things are going. But in Ukraine, that's good money. In the U.S., it's nothing in that. But it's just one of those things. It's really one of them things of how screwy everything is. But in short, the government of Ukraine in the future is basically selling off the people and telling them, oh, everything's good, and it's not in the long run. And that kind of Al Gore's lockbox in 2000.
I like.
If you remember that, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, that's why I was laughing. No, I remember. That's why I was chuckling.
And that because I remember those things.
Yeah.
Lockbox.
Yeah.
Anyways, going further to the fifth magical point. Um, The fifth point concerns Ukraine's post-war security architecture of that architecture. Uh, Zelensky said Kyiv boasts a large and experienced military.
You mind if I pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. I
Article.
don't mind.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. Actually, if you want to go to the beginning of it and then like
Yeah.
scroll down through it.
Yeah. Let's get that. Go.
I don't cough as an insult to it. What I cough about is like experienced military and won war. That's what I'm really thinking about. When the U.S. has been in how many wars over 200 years? Um, but still, on the fifth part of concerns about a large, experienced military force that can strengthen NATO
Right here.
and the security of the European continent. If the partners agree, then after the war, we envisage, great word, envisage, or incite, replacing certain U.S. military contingents I wonder which ones. Probably in Poland and Germany.
Right.
Stationed in Europe, replacing U.S. military contingents stationed in Europe with Ukrainian units, the president said. Boy, I'm sure some people will really love that. You, just really interesting factor. If Putin achieves his insane geopolitical, military, ideological, and economic goals, it will create an overwhelming impression for the potential aggressors, particularly the Gulf region. Really funny because Ukraine really needs to be involved in a Muslim war and get like say their version of a new 9/11 in Ukraine. Yeah, really needs to happen for Ukraine. This is the other article I'm going to look over really quick.
You know what I like about this article, right? So, where it said Zelensky noted that Putin's coalition of criminals now includes North Korea. I reported on that like more months ago, and I had a video removed from YouTube because they told me it was misinformation that North Koreans were in fact helping the Russians in Ukraine. Well, this article just states that they are. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, but still, regardless of it is, well, I mean, well, depending who you want to believe, if you want to believe the tooth fairy or the koala bear, North Korea has been a problem for how long? Since 1950.
Right.
Then we had the axis of evil speech with George Bush, North Korea, Iran, Iraq, and who else? His speech in like 2002-ish. It was the axis of evil countries that he labeled. Libya was on it too. But North Korea was there. So, like, coalition of criminals, axis of evil, call it what you want. I have a koala bear of evil. Okay, whatever. North Korea has always been a problem. And
Yeah.
I actually have a friend. I met him in Riga back in 2010, 2011, and he's more of a journalist than me. But he actually visited North Korea. He was there. And he was there for, I think, about a month. He did this somewhere in like 2014. And, you know, he's not liberal and he's not conservative. He comes from Idaho, but he now lives in New Zealand, I think. But he he wasn't defending North Korea, but he was not pro-American either. He was just saying what the reality was, and he got attacked for it a little bit long ago because everyone was saying, "Oh, you're pro-North Korean." He said, "No, I'm not." He said, "But what you guys know is really out of date for what the US know or what most Americans or whoever knows about North Korea is really out of date in that." And he saw a very different North Korea internally. But he did say there was a minder and everything else there too. Going further, this effectively participation of the second stage or second state in the war against Ukraine, Russia's side. The president also highlighted support provided by Iran and China. Oh, Iran. Oh, what a menace. I mean, we only took their government from them in the 50s, and then they halfway took their government back in the 70s after being irritated from us. And I know that's more deeper, but I'm not going to get into that because I'm not in
Israel's dropping their proxies like flies.
Well, yeah, but I don't
I think Iran has a whole lot, man. I mean, their proxies they're just getting slammed by Israel. The proxies, man.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about Iran to really judge it correctly. So I'll look that.
I'm still trying to research a little bit with Israel and Iran myself. I just noticed in the last few weeks they've been dropping them like flies.
Let's see. I'm just reading over this second one to see if there's any information here. No, it's really the same. You must sober. Well, besides the part of Russia's response, I guess. Russia condemned Zelensky's proposal. Kyiv needs to sober up and realize the reasons that led to this conflict. Kremlin spokesperson Peskov said, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's all just slapping each other in the face. That's all what it is. But regardless of this is, you know, it's just one of them funky, weird realities. And let's do pretend real estate in Ukraine. Well, I want to show something interesting in that.
You want me to stop sharing?
No. Were you sharing on my side or your side?
My side.
Okay, sure. No, you're fine. Let me see. I gotta find the link. 1 second. I don't know this guy's website. Come on. You know, Ukraine, they have their own .ua websites, but they make these really long, weird URLs. It's not like an easy URL where you just find something and it's just there and everything else. 1 second. Okay. I gotta do this one. Bosh. No, I thought it was Vim. Okay. Bosh. Okay, here we go. So let me see. So I'll share my screen in 1 second. Let's see. Let's see, where's my okay, so meeting. Okay, let me see. If you wanted to stop sharing your screen, I'll do it here in a second. So someone else is sharing. What a naughty person.
There we go.
Okay, so let me share this screen. Yeah, my Google Chrome. Share my Google Chrome. Okay, so here will be an interesting thing. Okay, translate. Okay, so here's the interesting factor. Actually, let me go back to Ukrainian just for a second. Okay, no, it is in dollars. Sometimes it translates the hryvnia currency, the UAH, to USD. You know, something that I like about Ukraine, let's go into positive territory. Other than all the craptacular news and the slow-moving Russian advance, this is what I like about Ukraine. If you have a long vision in that, you can buy property for like dimes and, well, not dimes and nickels, but close enough to where you basically, it would be like getting a property for like 70% off in the US. I guess switch back to Ukrainian because the Google translation screws it up. Okay, so wait, let's see if I'm going to catch blah, blah, blah. This is my extent of learning the language. Okay, so here will be an interesting factor if anyone wanted to really live in Ukraine and that. So you have apartments, you have property, you have land, you have a bunch of other things. If you're outside the city and that, and I'm not saying it's a perfect apartment, this one obviously is not, needs some remodeling to be brought back to the current day. For under $20,000, like a Detroit house for under $20,000, and it is 500 square foot. Okay. If someone had enough money or a good loan from a bank in the US, yes, it's 500 square foot. And yes, this is the normal Ukrainian style living. And yeah, so this is your gas meter over here. They really don't hide this stuff. It's such a beautiful thing. It's even if you can see it below my head right here.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's right there. So you know, in my apartment, they spent money to make it look nicer. This is still an apartment from the old Soviet days. But here's the thing. If you have vision, if you have money or a good credit limit, you can change things. And I like how the doors look. They're very chintzy and flimsy. But Ukrainians are used to them. I'm not knocking it. It's not an American quality, it's a Soviet quality. But or your bathroom.
Wait, is that like a what's that in the back? Okay, is that a dishwasher or that's a washer or something?
That's a washing machine.
Yeah, inside the bathroom.
Oh yeah. It's in the bathroom.
Interesting.
That's where they have enough room for it, or they have a water hookup.
Yeah.
Because you know they don't do they you know when they do these buildings, they don't put water piping throughout each like you know room or whatever. They put
Right.
it in specific places. So it's like that. Um, but you know, boy, these bathtubs, they're really strange, really strange. It's got a new water heater, which is good. So it gives you good hot water and that. But this water heater is probably only for the bathroom. And the apartment probably uses the city's heat, or there's another heater somewhere in the apartment that does water. Or imagine going to the bathroom here. You have a lot of leg room.
It looks like.
But again, I just to give the idea, this is how it looked for the like 30 to 50 years or something like that, or probably actually more, like probably 60, not 30 years, probably like 40 to 60 years. So it's still in the condition of the old Soviet Union in a way. And some of it, I mean, if you have a nostalgia for Soviet stuff, that's fine. But here's the building plan, blah blah blah. But the point is this: the reason why I bring it up. Let me move this here so I can hit this X. The reason why I bring it up is this: is let's say in hypothetical that you have really bad credit, or you don't make enough money, or you make money online, but it's not enough in the US, whatever your job is. Or you make $50,000 a year, or you make $80,000 a year, or you have a really good retirement, whatever the amount of money is. The thing is this, is you can buy the apartment for just under $20,000. Probably spend $5,000 or $8,000, remodel it all the way new to the current day standard. Take off all of the, well, I would not paper mache, but all the paper walling and all that. Scrub it all down. Hire Ukrainians to do it. They will do the work. You don't have to do it. They will do the work.
Mm.
And you will spend maybe, let's say, $10,000 for remodeling in that. And you would have a modern day apartment that's 500 square foot in that for, let's say, about $30,000. But now it's an apartment, but it's $30,000. Then you own the apartment forever, and you don't pay rent anymore. You don't do anything. You don't do any of that anymore. And if you have a good income all the way to retirement or after, you could save a lot of money that way. I'm speaking in a long-term sense. It's not about always living in Ukraine. It's what I think about really is if you put your money right, you save your money right, then you don't spend a lot of money. You can do a lot of traveling around the world. That's my thinking, in a way. And that's really kind of the bread and butter of my thinking.
Right.
And when will this load work? Okay. So that's just in general of my thinking. Now, to give you another idea, this would be a remodel department. Here's your remodel department. So let me see here, 35,000. This is like $400, I think. I think if I do a fast calculation in my head, I think it's like 450 or close to 500. And that I just gotta look at it real quick. Because it's 35,000. 35,000. Oh no, I'm off. I'm a bit off. It's 800 and that. So under $800 a month, wherever they put the money in with this and that, it's a lot better of an apartment than that. It's an $800 a month apartment, but this is the thing. They put money into the apartment and now they want to rent it out for like about $850 a month and that. It's more modern day and that, other than this interesting style up here for the lights. 3 lights up here and that. They always have a little bit of an interesting style somehow. But everything is new. What they probably did with this is they combined 2 smaller apartments, broke down the walls, and combined it. That's what they did. I'm sure of it. And again, you have your washer, but all of this is new. And they even have a bidet. They have the nice bidet thing, which I got told by a French guy is not common in France, but Ukrainians like the idea of a bidet and that. But it's just one of these things. No, they have 2, or no, they have 1. Okay, yeah. But so this is an $800 one. And let me do a translation. 2-room apartment for sale, blah, blah, blah. 400 and basically 450 square foot. European remodel, individual heating, floor heating. It has floor heating in the apartment. So they have pipes running under all of the floors in all of the rooms. And when you're turning the heat up in winter, the floor will heat up too.
Wow.
And that. And my apartment has some of it too for the kitchen. But regardless, that's one way of it. Okay, so this is like a $25,000 one. But I'll show you something interesting. You know, they have land. They have land. How big is this? 1 second. This is about the same size. But here's the thing on this. So this is another remodel. Yeah, a little bit remodeled. They didn't remodel this room. But this is like a half remodel. It's half remodeled in that. So they spent some money into it, but not remodeled it all. And that remodeled the bathroom. They always remodel the bathroom and the kitchen first. They always do this. But and this is like the floor plan. But yeah, how big every room is, etc. Like that. But the thing though is this is 25,000. Ta-da. So when I was talking about 8,000 and one was the one apartment that was still Soviet was like 19,000. So it's this is $6,000 more. That's where I was getting my estimate from. Now, more interesting or more, if you wanted to be a farmer or own a restaurant or something, $900 a month to do a restaurant. $32,000. I don't think this house is completed. Interesting. Oh yeah, not really completed. So they have your structure foundation of a house. And that, I guess they didn't install windows yet, or the windows got broke out. Well, if you wanted to do construction and this and that.
Yeah.
But you know, this is 32,000 for a house. I bet you this is sat for 5 or 10 years. I'm sure of it. Maybe even 15 years. But and this they don't say. Wait. Hold on. Ah, it's a 2,000 square foot. This is 2,000 square foot. And then 10 hundredths of a land. Well, 10 hundredths. I don't know how much that would be. Probably to that wall to here. And that. But it's a house, not a completed house, though. This is why Ukrainians live in apartments as opposed to houses. And that because the houses need a bit more work and care in that. But now going to land, which I find always interesting. Let's see here. Let's see. Here's a new one, or I think it's new. 1,000 square foot for 50,000. Okay, or no, it's not completed, but it's newer. They just haven't completed. It's the bare bones. 50,000. What happens is it's still, you know, in a weird way, it's still cheaper than everything in the US. You just got to be careful what you buy. That's the key thing. You got to be careful with what you buy. I can land because they have some land that's like $5,000, and that is like 5,000, 6,000. Let's see, selling. Go into selling. For $9,000, you can get a garage. Let's see, 4. Hmm, Someone thinks they're rich, 120,000. No, that's not. That has to be something like 3,000. This is a nice. This is near me somewhere. I'll look at that later. But what's so funny is when there's people with money in Ukraine, they really deck it out in that. They just really like go to the umph degree, and they get really strange things. Like they'll put a sauna in, or 30,000 for like a, here, come on, let's see here. Where is the land? I want the land. Um, hmm. 2-room apartment for 8,000. Boy, I bet you that one's funky. So wait, let me see if I can see it by. Let's see here. Let me do it like this. And that. This is a real estate guy's website. I got my current apartment from him, but there's other ways to look for apartments. Where was I seeing the land? Let's see, 16, 20. Let's see. Where is the land ones? Okay, property. Let's see, select. Selling. Select. Let's see. I gotta go back to Ukrainian. Okay, so okay, search. Okay, now let's see. Selling. Okay, maybe I'll get it this way, because there was 1 or 2 that I saw that was like just pure land. Let's see. Maybe I saw it. Interesting. There was a few that I saw that was land. Let's see if it's like this. Uh, Let me see. Let me use Google Translate in that. But like sometimes you can buy like a plot of land for like $4,000, $6,000. I don't know how big, but like just land. Zemini, or Zemile. So let's see. Let me do this here. Sure. Do search. Okay, so here's the fun part. Let me see if I can translate it to dollars 1 second. Okay, so in a short way, for $15,000, for $4,000, 35, 16, ooh, for $2,000. Something for $500. You can buy anything in this country. That's the pro and the con at the same time. $500. Right to WhatsApp for details. There is a road to plot, or there, I guess they mean there's a space to plot. There's also electricity network, cable internet. The plot is bordered by a forest. There is water on the plot. Ah, so they mean a well. So you have some section of land. I have no clue how big this is. And it's not $500. There's no way. Maybe 5,000. They're just putting $500 for trying to get people to see it from a lower price. I'm sure it's 5 or 8,000 or something. But the whole point in this is that let's say if you just wanted to develop and live off the grid and do whatever in Ukraine and never be ignored. I mean, always be ignored, and you had enough money, under 50, 80 grand, you can do it in this country. And that. And maybe this one, another thing. But this is why I like Ukraine in short. And that is, it's basically like buying American land, but for really, really cheap, but it's not in America.
Right.
And that it's just like, it's like something like if you would buy something in the 1950s USA with today's money in terms of cost of living and everything. 28 acres? No. Really? 28 acres?
Wow. That's huge.
Well, they must, if it really is 28 acres, a quiet, cozy, with nice entrance, picturesque surroundings, an ideal option for looking for comfort and peace. Contact our number, learn more. And it's just land. Sometimes too, some of the land is zoned for agricultural. It has to be zoned a certain way. You can't just always build on it. And you have to do some diligence into reading it. But like I said, if you're looking to never spend money again, and if you have a good retirement check every month or every year or whatever, or just a good steady income and it'll lead to a good retirement check, Ukraine is a very nice option. And I'll be fair, you can do this in Russia, you can do it in Belarus, you can do it in Moldova, you can do it throughout Eastern Europe, even in Poland and that. But Ukraine is a bit cheaper than all of them. And that it always has been that way. And that. And it's just a Ukrainian thing. But it's the thing that I like about Ukraine. There's always possibility to do something that you could not exactly do in the US unless you had 6 or 8 times the money. That's what I really think about with Ukraine and that. So I'm just trying to think what else to show. Give me something that you're curious about in that, Jared, that either I can look up or something. Or
Well,
that you're thinking.
I guess what I'm curious about is like the potential of Ukraine going into NATO. There's a short video I found where Secretary General of the Alliance, Mark Rutte, was talking about the NATO. There's a video. NATO will continue to strengthen its presence on the eastern flank near the borders with Russia, and will increase its air defense systems, artillery, and fifth-generation fighters. So there's like a short video, but I think that's what I'm looking at and how the impact of that's going to be when Ukraine does enter NATO. Because I mean, I know that Russia's not going to accept it.
Well, to be honest, I don't think they will ever get into NATO.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can find it. Ukraine, NATO 2004, something like that.
Right.
Come on, kick a horse. Horse. Kick the horse. Faster, faster.
And I feel, I mean, this is probably strictly just my opinion, that I feel like the timing is interesting considering the elections are drawing closer.
Okay, so wait 1 second. So okay, so let's see. Oh, here we got some. It's always interesting when you look on 2004. Well, you know, come on, my iMac is being a little bit slow today. So whichever one of these loads up first. What's really interesting is the date, June 2004. They welcomed Ukraine's continuing participation in NATO-led and other peacekeeping operations, as well as Ukraine's support in the fight of Iraq, I'm sure. Something to that effect. Browser, got kill tab.
You mind if I play a short video?
Yeah, sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, it's talking about, hold on, if you stop sharing I can pull up the video. It's like a minute long.
Yeah, sure, my bad. Let me
yeah. Let's listen to this real quick because I like to get your thoughts once we watch it. It's only about a minute long.
Maybe my screen sharing is what's slowing down my browser. Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, go ahead. I will get thing on my side.
I think this is it.
Was significant, the irreversible path to NATO membership. So that means that, yes, in the future, NATO will have, as
Can
a
you hear
32 or 34th member, we will have
do?
Ukraine.
Yeah.
At the moment, it seems that it will be Ukraine as number 33, but maybe somebody else pops in front of him. But Ukraine will be a member of NATO in the future. That is what we decided in Washington. So the question is then about the timeline. What we are doing now with the pledge on track, with what we are doing in Wiesbaden, the command. What we are doing is all the bilateral aid going into Ukraine at the moment. All the efforts being coordinated amongst the allies to work on the reconstruction of Ukraine. The fact that we have now JTEC in Poland, which is working on the interoperability of Ukraine with NATO. This collectively, plus all the national security guarantees bilaterally with Ukraine, they collectively constitute a bridge to NATO membership. So then the question is exactly about the when. I cannot answer that now at this moment, but clearly we are working on all these tracks to make sure that indeed one day there will be a member of NATO.
Mr. Secretary General.
Then kind of goes back to your point. He said maybe one day, and then it's like makes me wonder what you just said, that they'll never be part of NATO. So it feels like it's back and forth. You know, yeah. It's like, what is the right answer? Does Ukraine become part of NATO? It's like, for me, is what is the right answer? You know.
Okay, so I have a link when you're ready to switch.
Yeah, let me close this. Yeah, let me close this out. There we go.
What you want? So let me share. Let me do over my screen. Yeah, figure out with the screen share part. Okay, so yeah, it's Google Chrome. Okay, so here's the more interesting part. So Ukraine-NATO relations, Wikipedia, generally correct in that. So as they say, it started in 1991 during independence, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Ukraine joined NATO's Partnership for Peace in 1994, and in 97 agreed to NATO's action plan in 2002, and I was about right. into NATO's intensified dialogue program in 2005. This is when everything started to heat up in 2010. Under Yanukovych, they voted to abandon the idea and put Ukraine into neutral status. And here's where the whole everything splits apart. This is where all this stuff split apart in that between 2010 and 2014. And that for all the current issues right now.
Right.
Let's see. Russian opposition has grown, blah, 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 blah. But still, in short, they were going back to either 91 or to 2004, 2005. There's always been this NATO talk that they're going to be in NATO and that. Or we have a nice thing from 2004. The NATO-Ukrainian Commission met today, level in Brussels, to discuss the preparations underway, June 29th. NUC, blah, blah, blah. Allied ambassadors expressed their appreciation for Ukraine contributing commitment to Allied efforts to ensure peace and stability in Euro-Atlantic area. They welcomed Ukraine's participation, yada, 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 a bunch of text, fight against terrorism, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Commission's also nice. Yeah, a bunch of feel-good text. That's the best way I can put it. That's my opinion. But
Yeah.
in short, it goes back to 2004. And then if I do a similar search, let's say European Union, it will be probably very similar.
I just have a thought. I have a thought, like an opinion. Is Ukraine bait?
Say it again.
Is Ukraine bait, being used as bait to bait?
No, I don't think that's the idea. If you want to know what I really think, and I think it's all a manipulation.
Right.
Okay. So how do I want to say this? And it's actually really cruel if you think of it. So you have 40 million people. There's roughly 50 million Ukrainians in the world, okay? You have 40 million people that live in Ukraine. Maybe it's about 35 million currently with the war because some of them have moved abroad. Here is the biggest thing of it all is how do you, when you have richer countries in the West, and when I mean Western Europe and West, I mean France, Germany, Britain, Norway, Sweden, Spain, etc., Italy, all of these countries, Switzerland, etc. How do you keep your neighboring countries either A, at peace, or B, you give them dribble? And this is where I say it's cruel, is you keep telling them, don't worry, we're your friends. Don't worry, we're your friends. We're always there for you. We're always there for you. And then you give them a little bit at a time, a little bit to cling on to hope. And what I mean by this is this. They always, for probably 10 to 15 years or more, have talked about this Ukrainian Euro integration, just like NATO. And you know, at the end of the day, when it happened in 2014, before 2014, Ukrainians had to have a visa in order to enter the European Union. They had to have a visa in order to go to Poland, in order to go to Germany, in order to go to France, etc. But when 2014 happened, the European Union got rid of that. And there was a consolation thing with this. Ukraine had to get a bunch of equipment that was all modernized, and it was all a digital infrastructure, fingerprints and like, you know, scanners and like all this stuff for all the current technology for passports and such. And before then, before 2014, Ukraine was basically like a paper bureaucracy where you had to have notations and notations of paper for whatever you wanted to do, whatever it is. So before 2014, it was like still stuck in the Soviet Union model. And so they're really just dragging it along to bring it into the modern day over time. The next part is this. When they did the visa-free agreement, and that with Ukraine to the European Union, there's tons of Ukrainians that just fled into the European Union and became migrant workers, just like Mexico, just like any of the Latin American countries, or any countries, any immigrants that come to the US. And that is what I think the real purpose of dragging this on with Ukraine to be in the European Union or NATO. It's this idea that don't worry, we just want you to be involved. But what they really want is cheap labor, or they want basically what you could joke, you could say, like a replacement population, because you know there's more people dying in Germany because there's not enough people being born in Germany or France or in most of Europe. But you know, Ukrainians will have 1 to 4 kids, and then
Right.
Germans or French or anyone else, Norwegians, will have 1 kid or no kids. So they need a replacement population. It's the same thing between the US and Mexico. It's the same thing. And Russia does the same thing in that, because that's why they have Kazakhstan, that's why they have Georgia and all the other countries that are south of Russia. All of those people run into Russia for the work, for everything and all of that. That's what those people do. It's just, you know, it's a really, if you really think of it, it's a sad story. The bigger countries need cheap labor. They need poorer people to exist. And they allow the poorer people to exist. Or they suppress the country enough that it will never be rich, one of the two. But that's what's the real cruel part, is this, is they make all of these promises, and what's the end result? What's the actual effect? Cheap labor. That's most of it in that. Because, you know, I mean, you know, I knew a Moldovan girl that got a, I think it's a J1 visa to work in the US for the summer. And that, and most of Eastern Europeans, if they're even Russian, if they work in the US, they work as the maids in hotels. That's what they do. And that's their time in the US. And that they're working in a hotel, they live in the hotel, they're cleaning the hotel rooms. And then when that visa is up in the US, they go back to Moldova or Russia or Ukraine or whatever country. When that visa is up, they go back. But what happens is that's the cheap labor thing in that. Because like, you know, because I remember asking, Ira is her name. She was working there when she was like 19 or 20, and she was only getting like maybe $200 or $300 a month, but she didn't have to worry about having cost for a room or anything. She just lived in one of the hotel rooms and that. But that's what the hotels do in the US for foreign workers.
I have another question.
For sure, go ahead.
Is the war, right? So the war, whose survival is it really for? Is it for Ukraine survival, or is it for NATO and America's survival? My question is, what's the point of this war? I guess that's where I'm at. Is like, what's the point? Is like, whose survival is this for?
1 second. Let me get my sausages out. 1 second. As we continue our cooking show with Ricky. Yada, yada, yada. Today I'm cooking with Ricky. We had many broths. Broths are today's specialty store. Where's my apron?
I probably got about 20 minutes left with my iPad battery.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
By the way, okay, so I'll ask my one question after. In the sense of who does it serve for?
Yeah.
Ukraine and all this. My opinion is it's a thing to get kicked down the can. Gets kicked down the road. It's the can that gets kicked down the road always. Just like with Social Security, that's one. The other is I think it's cultural, but it's more to do with our culture. You know, it's something you see when you're outside the US. Even though I like living in America, I like it. I'm not against it in that. But you know, there's some negative parts that I realize when you're outside of the US because it doesn't exist anywhere outside the US. You know, there is always this us versus them mentality, or we always need a bad guy, like in a film,
Right.
in a drama. And you know, what's so strange is that needing a bad guy in most of Europe, and I would say most of the time, let's say in Russia or something else, you don't hear anything like that. Unless it's a war, then it's a bad thing. But what I think it is it's basically to stir people up to do something every once in a while. And I think it has more of a play internally inside the US to keep us always on our toes or always active, or that the fact that we always need a certain section of our economy going to this or going to that or going to there. Because in Europe, I mean, other than the war, no one thinks of military. I mean, like you in a normal day conversation before all of this, you know, there was no Ukrainian telling you, oh, you know, our infantry soldiers are really low this year. Like there's no one's talking about it. And like, you know, Germans, even like if you try to talk about military stuff or like, you know, the defense of Germany or something, most Germans don't even want to have that conversation.
Right.
And they'll talk about it, but it's that they don't really care to talk about it and they don't know much. But regardless is in like Germany's troop presence is like 100,000 or 200,000 people. It's nothing in that. And it's just one of these things that like I think it's really more of an American thing. It services the US or the culture inside the US that we must be needed, we must keep running, we must keep doing this and that. It's like an internal psychology because outside of Ukraine, you don't see it. And I remember in 2018, 2020, and I may have a photo of it, Ukraine was only paying their soldiers like $300 or $400 a month. Now they're paying them like $1,000 a month. And that's because of the war. But before that, they were only paying them $300 or $400 a month. And that's like the highest paying work. But so from my opinion is I think it services all the bureaucrats and the politicians in the US. That's what I think, in a way. It doesn't really service Ukraine in a long term, because in reality, they get more affected than anyone else.
Yeah, no, yeah. Kind of what I was thinking too. I just wanted to hear your point of view. That's why I asked those questions.
Oh, and going to my thing and that. Did you watch the line in the sand thing that I sent you?
No, not get a chance to.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you want to watch that one time, go right ahead. And then there's the January 6th one that's from the Babylon Bee. That one was real good. I watched that one too. And I recorded that one too.
We're gonna have to do that next time or something. When I get a chance to watch it, we should do something on that one of these days too.
Yeah.
To break that down.
Well, like both of them, the Babylon Bee one is 80 minutes, and the other one is 100 minutes. Let me find the preview. The most deadliest day, January 6th.
The most deadliest day. I'm trying not to laugh.
No, but it was really interesting because they actually were pointing out is satire.
U.S. citizen, you can
love
vote from
that.
here, and even here, using an absentee ballot.
I get
Americans
these
who are
ads
traveling or living abroad
all the time.
have the right to vote from anywhere.
I wonder why.
Your ballot off at a U.S. embassy or consulate. Make sure you
Really
vote
interesting.
for the next election. Request your ballot today.
Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the heat death of the universe. These are some of the deadliest days in history, but none of them compare to the most deadliest day, January 6, 2021. Coming soon, in the most epic movie event since robot jocks left behind, or maybe even sunk the maps. Columbia investigates the darkest day in the history of democracy.
Where were you on January 6th?
In January?
I don't remember.
Storming the Capitol, baby. No.
Scary stuff like this happened.
So on a scale of 9 to 10, how terrifying was what you just witnessed?
3? I don't know.
We go on location. We bring you 100% true facts.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was murdered over 7 times.
We ask the
Is it true that you have a Jewish space wizard? This is incredibly boring. Could you explain it to me using Marvel characters?
We even go face to face with the scariest criminals you'll ever meet.
Are you the dangerous insurrection man?
Who's asking?
We're in. Into the lair of darkness I go. Darkness because he's a Republican, not because he's,
Shame! Shame!
This fall, the only way you can save democracy is by becoming a member of the Babylon Bee, so you can see January 6th, the most deadliest day.
Where were you on January 6th?
I was in that mob that's going into the Capitol.
It was really
No, it's fun. I'm trying to. The most deadliest day.
No, it was good. It was really good. I can pull up a certain part of it really quick here. It was funny. It was funny in its own way.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was catching the humor myself. It was.
But you know, how do I want to put it? When there was that part where they were saying, "Oh, do you have a Jewish space laser?" It's kind of like it was something screwball in that.
And Japan, they should pay for it too. Walls around every corner of the earth.
Hold on.
One
What's
second,
the
one
best
second.
foreign policy we've ever had? And we're in any conflict, we're in any war.
The Michael Knowles guy was also a bit funny too.
We've stumped our so-called
I don't know anything at
Something
all
like
about
this.
his movie making. I never watched him when he was on TV. But I did watch him when he was president of the United States. He's a very strong man, and he's a very determined man, not afraid of the Chinese. He's not even afraid of the Democrats.
So if you had a dreamstone, you would make no changes to Trump. You would just I wish Trump stays the same.
I'm not a real fan of the hair, but
You would change his hair?
I think I would.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. That's pro-Latin. We'd stumped our so-called expert guest with our hard-hitting questions. So we took to the streets to find out why Trump was elected ourselves. At the Babylon Bee, we are serious about the news. So serious that we will even risk our lives to bring you 100% accurate information. That's why we decided to send out our very best reporter, Travis here, to the streets to interact with real-life Trump supporters.
That's right, Garth. And I'm ready to hit the streets to find out why
Watch your step. Don't stand up. That's your mark. Just read the words. Read the words.
That's right, Garth. I'm prepared to hit the streets and find out why anyone would ever support Mr. Donald J. Trump.
In order to get close to Trump supporters, we soon
I'll switch it around here a little bit, but I'm just trying to find. There was like a certain part. Oh yeah, something like this. They went into the whole
put it over the
coronavirus
whole
thing.
lab.
That is everybody's question.
It's a pretty good idea, right?
Yeah.
That's my idea. I represent science. Why did they not think to invent masks until after the virus got out? Seems kind of short-sighted.
I'm pretty sure we've had surgical masks and N95s for a number of decades, actually.
Well, agree to disagree. But one thing we do agree on is that the virus got out. That was bad?
Yeah.
Why didn't they just make a really giant face mask and just put it over the whole lab?
That is everybody's question.
Pretty good idea, right?
Yeah.
That's my idea. I came up with it.
Yeah, I could tell.
Now, we don't have an animation department at the Babylon Bee. So we hired an animation artist on Fiverr to reenact what COVID-19 escaping the lab might have looked like. The results were chilling and 100% accurate.
Hey, Ricky.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
yeah. My iPad. Yeah, it's the batteries.
Yeah, sure. Gotcha. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, we're gonna hit this next time. I'm gonna watch this, and we're gonna hit this next time. I'm enjoying this, so we'll hit it next time.
It was funny, and that I wish I could have got full screen, but basically, like if I got it full screen, it would be like tilted on the side.
Right. Yeah, keep talking. I got like the dogs out real quick. I can hear you.
I can bite into the sausage, but yeah, it's like that. Oh, another fun fact. the sausage, I get like 10 of them in that for like $2. And it's a pack of sausages. My view map showing today. But like I get a 10 pack of sausages for $2, and they're like kielbasa. Nothing where I'm at. Always nothing where I'm at. And that. But yeah.
Well,
Little
let's
map.
stop it. Let's stop it right here.
Okay,
I gotta get the dogs, and we'll definitely pick up this next time. I'm gonna watch that Babylon Bee thing, and then we're gonna pick up next time. Next Friday, we'll pick up there. We'll break that down.
Ooh, wow, they have news for the US. Multiple
gunshots were fired at Columbus police. Wow.
Interesting. Oh, anyways, go ahead and kill it on your side, or I'll.
All right.
All
right, till next time.
Yeah.
All right, great chat.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll chat again. Yep.
Oh, by the way, whatchamacallit? I have a friend, another American friend. He's Mexican originally, and he's in the Ukraine too. He came over with me, and that since I'm the American version of Moses leading Americans to Exodus in a different way.
I like that.
But well, I mean, I do think there's gonna one day. I really think there's gonna be a lot of Americans that leave the U.S. for some reason. I do, but he came over with me. We planned the trip, and we flew over from New York to Germany. And the best way to put it is he's very big Trump, and he was asking me, are we gonna watch the election together? And that, so I might have him with me, or maybe we do like a three-way thing if you want to watch the election live.
Oh, we could do that. Yeah, we can, like, you say, like, Zoom the election.
Yeah. He's in Ukraine. He's actually living only 50 minutes away. I ended up helping him get an apartment. He's basically nearly permanent here. He got married and now has a kid here. All on the fact of 2 years.
Wow. Yeah, we could do that. That would be cool. Maybe by then we can figure out how to do it live or something, you know? Yeah. Because by then I should be able to go live on Facebook, because we can figure something out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a huge Trump flag too. And that, because he said it in conversation that he'll show his Trump flag.
Awesome. Yep.
But
all
either way.
Till next time.
Yeah, till next time.
Yeah. All right, man. Take it easy, brother.
Yep, you too.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.